Hello, my loves. Oh, my loves, my loves, my loves. So you may or may not know this about me, depending on how new you are to my channel, but I am obsessed with all things romantic. If you want to win my heart over, turn on some Morel Mathieu, cook me some dinner, and just dance with me in the rain.
Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas.
It's the little things, guys. It's the little things. So it's no surprise that Valentine's Day is my favorite day of the year. Even though I believe you should keep the romance in your relationship every day of the year, there's just something in the air on Valentine's Day that I absolutely love. Everyone's in a lovey-dovey mood. Everyone's happy. It's just magical. I really, really like it. Seriously, I think the world would be such a better place if we just focused on loving each other rather than focusing on each other's indifferences, don't you think? So in the spirit of Valentine's Day and all things romance, I decided to put together 15 beautiful heatless romantic hairstyles that you guys can create on Valentine's Day. I don't mean create all 15 hairstyles on Valentine's Day. Maybe just pick one or two, depending on how many events you're going to on Valentine's Day, but you get my point, hopefully. So when I think of romantic hairstyles, I think of loose braids, lush chignons, and beautiful tousled waves. So I thought I'd show you a bunch of different options that incorporate these details and much, much more. So if you want to see my 15 romantic heatless hairstyles, please keep watching. I also wanted to mention that I did clip in my 240-gram set of fancy hair extensions to give these looks some more volume and length to work with. If you guys were interested in getting really high quality clip-in hair extensions, there is a direct link to the Fancy Hair website right in my description box. Alright, so for this first hairstyle, I'm taking all of the hair around my crown area and I'm tying it into a ponytail at the back of my head. So once I've done that, I'm picking up a chunk of hair from underneath the ponytail and I'm separating this section into two and I'm braiding a rope braid. So to braid a rope braid, you simply want to take the two sections, twist them in the same direction and wrap them around each other in the opposite direction. So you just want to keep repeating these steps until you get all the way to the end of the strands that you're working with, and then I'm tying it off with a small hair elastic. So if you guys watched my previous tutorial right before this one, you may have heard me sound a little bit nasally and I told you I felt like I was coming down with something. Well, yeah, this past week I've been battling with a pretty bad cold, so I'm just getting over it and I'm just starting to feel better now. So if I still sound a little bit stuffed up and nasally, that's why. Hopefully it's not going to be too distracting and you guys can still enjoy this tutorial. Okay, so once I finish braiding that rope braid, I'm taking it around the base of the ponytail that I created and I'm just wrapping it until I get to the ends of that rope braid. Once I do that, I'm taking a couple of bobby pins and just pinning the rope braid in place so that it's secure and doesn't go anywhere. Next, I'm taking another small hair elastic and I'm tying it around the ponytail a couple inches below the first one. Then I'm going in with my fingers and I'm pulling out sections of hair in the little section that we created to make a bubble. Once I have my bubble, I'm taking another chunk of hair from underneath the ponytail and I'm braiding another rope braid. Once I braided this rope braid, again, I'm taking the rope braid and wrapping it around the base of the second ponytail that I created and pinning it in place with some bobby pins. For this next hairstyle, I'm taking a chunk of hair from one of the sides at my crown area and I'm braiding it into a regular Dutch braid. I'm braiding this Dutch braid until I get to about the middle of the strands that I'm working with, and then I'm tying off the braid with a small hair elastic and then going in with my fingers and loosening up the braid by pulling out the side sections. Then I'm just going ahead and creating the exact same braid on the other side. Once I have my two braids, I'm just tying them together at the back of my head with a small hair elastic. And then after I've done that, I'm going to take out the small hair elastics that are keeping each individual braid together and I'm loosening up that hair. Then I'm picking up a small section of hair from under the braided part that we just created and I'm wrapping it around the base of the ponytail to cover up the hair elastic, and then I'm going to pin it in place with a couple of bobby pins. Now, if you want to build on this hairstyle a little bit further, you can separate the loose hair into 3 sections. What I do is take the middle section and I tie a large hair elastic around the base at the nape of the neck to create a ponytail. Then I take the 2 side sections and I twist them slightly, and then I wrap them around each other at the front of the ponytail, wrap them around the back, and then when I get to the front again, I'm going to tie them into a knot and then secure them at the back of the ponytail using a small hair elastic. So this is a really cute and unique updo that you can do in literally 5 minutes. So all you want to do is separate your hair into 3 sections, 2 side sections and a middle section. And I'm starting off with the middle section by picking it up, twisting it, and tying a knot at the base of the section, and then I'm wrapping the loose ends around this little knot to create a knotted chignon. Then I'm going in with a bunch of bobby pins and pinning down this bun in place so it doesn't move. Once my first chignon feels secure, I'm going ahead and creating the exact same chignons with the remaining 2 sections. Waiting for you to come. This next hairstyle is one of my favorite ways to create a beautiful, elegant bun in less than 5 minutes. So all I do is take all of my hair in the back and I tie it into a low ponytail. Then I separate the ponytail into 2 sections and I'm just clipping away one of the sections so that it's out of my way. With the loose section, I'm taking it and twisting it and wrapping it around the base of the ponytail to create the base of the chignon, and then I'm using a bunch of bobby pins to pin this chignon in place. Once I've done that, I'm taking the second section that I clipped away earlier and I'm braiding it into a loose fishtail braid. So to braid a fishtail braid, basically what you want to do is separate the working section into 2, and then you want to take a small strand from the outside of one of the sections, cross it over that section and combine it with the opposite section. Then you want to do the same thing on the other side. So take a small strand from the outside of the section that you're working with, cross it over that section and combine it with the opposite section. So I'm just repeating these steps again and again until I get to the very bottom of the fishtail braid. I'm going to tie off the end of the fishtail braid with a small hair elastic and then pull out on the side sections of the fishtail braid to fluff it out and make it look a lot more romantic and bohemian. Once I pulled apart my fishtail braid to my liking, I'm taking it and wrapping it around the base of that chignon that I created earlier, and I'm just pinning it to the top of the chignon with a bunch of bobby pins. So this is a great option for those of you who want to keep your hair down on Valentine's Day. So all you want to do is pick up a section of hair from the top of one side, separate that section into 2, and then start braiding a French rope braid. So to do that, I'm twisting both strands towards my face and wrapping them around each other away from my face. Then every time I do that step, I'm just going to combine a small section of hair from the outside of the rope braid and combine them into each individual strand. I'm just repeating these steps again and again until I reach about my ear level, and then when that happens, I'm continuing to braid the rope braid without adding in any hair. That's going to allow the top part of the rope braid to stay attached to my hair, and the remainder of the rope braid is going to be loose. And another option that I have for those of you who want to keep your hair down is to pick up a chunk of hair from the top of one side and braid it into a Dutch braid. And as you can see, for the first part of this Dutch braid, I'm making it a French Dutch braid. So that means every time I take a section under the middle section, I'm also incorporating a chunk of hair from the outside of that section into the braid. So I'm doing this until I reach about my ear, and then I'm continuing down with a regular Dutch braid. So at this point, I like to go in with my fingers and pull out the side sections of the braid to make it look wider and more relaxed and romantic looking. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this braid and wrap it around the side and the back of my head and pin it in place with a couple of bobby pins. So for this look, I'm taking a chunk of hair from the top of my head, and I'm separating it into 2 strands, and I'm braiding a rope braid. I'm sure by now you guys know how to do that, so I'm going to forgo the step-by-step and just tell you what I do next. So I'm going to braid this rope braid a couple times. I'm going to wrap the strands around each other about 3 or 4 times, and then I'm going to pick up a section of hair from the outside of the braid and I'm going to incorporate each section into one of the sections from the braid. So essentially I'm creating a French rope braid, but it's like a lazy French rope braid because I'm not incorporating hair into every section that I braid. So once I've done that, I'm going to braid the rope braid another 3 or 4 times, and then I'm taking the remaining loose hair that I have at the bottom, and I'm splitting it into 2 and combining each half of the loose hair with each of the strands. Then I'm continuing to braid that same rope braid in the same direction that I started out with, and I'm braiding all the way down to the ends of my hair. Once I get to the ends, I'm just tying off the end of the braid with a small hair elastic, and that's it. So this is a variation on the previous hairstyle. All I'm doing is starting out the same way and braiding a rope braid about 3 or 4 times, and then I'm picking up a section of hair from either side of my face and combining it with each strand of the rope braid. Then after I've done that, I'm continuing to braid the rope braid in the same direction all the way down to the ends of the strands, and then I'm tying off the end of the rope braid with a small hair elastic. So I'm starting out by clipping away my bangs just because I feel like when these are loose, the hairstyle looks a lot more romantic. And then I'm picking up a chunk of hair from the top of one side and I'm braiding a French braid. So to braid a French braid, you simply want to separate the working section into 3 strands, cross one strand over the middle strand and then the other strand over the middle strand, and then start combining hair from the outside of the strands into the braid. So I'm going to continue to repeat these steps and braid a 3-strand French braid all the way down to about the nape of my neck, and once I get to that point, I'm going to stop and pull out the sides of the braid to fan it out and look a lot more romantic. And then when I've done that to my satisfaction, I'm going to take all of the remaining loose hair and combine it with the loose ends of the braid, separate that section into 2, and then braid a fishtail braid. So once I finish braiding my fishtail braid, I'm going in with my fingers again and pulling out the side sections of the braid to balance out the thickness of the fishtail braid with the French braid on the top. And now I'm just tying off the end of the braid with a small hair elastic and making any other necessary adjustments wherever I think I need to do that. And then of course I'm going to unclip my bangs so that my bangs are framing my face. So this is one of my favorite ways to style my hair on Valentine's Day. I did a very similar hairstyle for Valentine's Day last year and I got so many compliments on it. So all I'm doing is leaving out the face framing pieces around my face, and I'm gathering all of the hair around my crown area at the back of my head and then tying that into a ponytail with a small hair elastic. Then I'm simply taking the ponytail and braiding it into a regular 3-strand braid. I'm tying off the end of the braid with a small hair elastic when I can't braid anymore, and then I'm going in with my fingers and gently pulling out the sides of the braid to loosen it up. I'm taking the braid and I'm starting to wrap it around itself at the base of the ponytail that I created, and I'm just wrapping it until I can hide the ends and I create this beautiful little flower. Once I've done that, I'm just pinning it down with a bunch of bobby pins until it feels secure, and that's pretty much it. And if you love this hairstyle as much as I do, I have another variation. So instead of braiding it into a 3-strand braid, you can braid your ponytail into a beautiful rope braid. And this is also going to give it a really romantic feel. So once I get to the ends, again, I'm just tying it off with a small hair elastic. And then I'm just taking the rope braid, wrapping it around itself at the base, and then pinning it down in place with a bunch of bobby pins. For this hairstyle, I'm gathering all of my hair except for the 2 face framing pieces in the front into a low ponytail at the nape of my neck. Then I'm picking up a chunk of hair from the underside of my ponytail and I'm wrapping it around the base of the ponytail to cover up the hair elastic. Once I've wrapped it around the base of the hair elastic a couple times, I'm taking it to the underside of the ponytail and picking up another small strand from the underside of the ponytail, connecting these two pieces together and tying them together with a small hair elastic. So this is going to make sure that the wrap around base is going to stay in place for a long time, because if you are anything like me, sometimes bobby pins start to slip out and your beautiful wraparound just falls apart. So that's a tip for you guys. If you have the same issues I do, just take a piece of hair from the underside of your ponytail and connect it with the wraparound. Next, I'm simply separating the ponytail into two sections and I'm braiding a regular fishtail braid. So I'm going to loosely braid a fishtail braid until I get to about halfway down the strands of hair that I'm working with, and then I'm going to pull apart the braid with my fingers and then tie the braid in the middle of the ponytail with a small hair elastic. And once I pulled apart the fishtail braid to my liking, I'm picking up a chunk of hair from the loose hair that remains and I'm just wrapping it around that ponytail to cover up the hair elastic. And then again, I'm combining it with another small strand from the loose hair, combining those sections together and tying them together with a small hair elastic to make sure that this little wraparound doesn't go anywhere. So this next hairstyle is so cute and it's perfect for Valentine's Day. If this doesn't get you into the Valentine's Day spirit, I really don't know what hairstyle will. So all I did was take a chunk of hair from one side and I just flipped it over to the opposite side in the meanwhile and clipped it away with a clip. Then I'm taking a chunk of hair near the front of my face and I'm simply braiding that chunk of hair into a regular 3-strand braid. Once I get to the ends, I'm just tying off the braid with a small hair elastic, and I'm going to pick up another chunk of hair right next to that chunk of hair that I picked up in the beginning, and I'm braiding another 3-strand braid and just tying it off at the ends with a small hair elastic. So now that I have my 2 3-strand braids, I'm unclipping that hair that I clipped away in the beginning and pulling through these 2 braids in the center of that hair. Then I'm taking one braid at a time and I'm kind of molding them into a shape of the heart. So the braid that is closest to my face, that's going to be one half of the heart, and the braid that is the farthest away from my face will be the second half of the heart. So I'm just going ahead and molding the shape of the heart while pinning down the heart in place with a bunch of bobby pins. Once I have the shape that I like, I'm taking the ends of the braid along with a little bit of loose hair from underneath that, and I'm tying it together at the tip with a small hair elastic to create the point of the heart. And finally, I'm just removing these small hair elastics that are keeping each individual braid together, and I'm untying the braids to make it look like a seamless heart. So for my last heatless romantic hairstyle, all I'm doing is gathering the hair around my crown area. I'm pulling it back and kind of creating a little poof or pompadour at the top of my head, and I'm pinning it down with several bobby pins to make sure that it stays in place. Once I have the shape that I like, I'm gathering all of my hair to one side and I'm starting to braid a French braid. So I started out at the top and I incorporated the hair from the little poof and I started braiding a 3-strand braid, and every time I cross a side strand over a middle strand, I'm just incorporating hair from the outside of the braid into the braid. And then when I get to the bottom and I run out of hair to add into the braid, I'm just continuing to braid a regular 3-strand braid. And notice when I'm braiding this 3-strand braid, I'm trying not to untie the ends of the braid. I kind of want them to tangle up in one another. What this is going to do is going to create a reverse braid from the bottom up, and it's going to kind of knot up the ends of the hair, which is exactly what I want because I want to create an organic knot. So once I feel like I can't braid anymore, I'm taking the ends of the hair and I'm pulling it through the bottom center of the braid. And this time, for some reason, the ends didn't tangle up as much as I wanted them to, so I'm just taking the ends a second time and pulling them through the braid to create an organic knot. Alright my loves, so that wraps up my Valentine's Day inspired tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed it and will find some inspiration for this Valentine's Day regardless of what you're doing or where you're going. Please let me know what you thought about this tutorial in the comments below and let me know which romantic hairstyle was your favorite and which one you're dying to try out. Do you guys have any Valentine's Day plans this year? If you do, please let me know what you're doing in the comments below. I would love to read about it. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up up and follow the Fancy Hair Instagram account for daily hair inspiration. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please be sure to do so to see more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. I wish you a very happy Valentine's Day with your loved ones or your significant other, whoever you decide to share it with. And I really hope to see you in my next video.